welcome to episode number 3. My name is Brian Wiebe. I'm the editor-in-chief and owner of BCHL Network, and so thrilled to have you along here for the 3rd episode of the Two Goal Lead podcast presented by BCHL Network. This week on the show, we're joined by a defender from the Chilliwack Chiefs in his first season in the BC Hockey League. It is Duncan Ramsay. Hey, Duncan, thanks so much for taking the time to join us here on the Two Goal Lead podcast presented by BCHL Network.
No, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So the Chiefs this season hovering around the 500 mark for much of the year. Do you think that with this club, there's some untapped potential that hasn't been discovered so far?
Yeah, I think, when you pull a group of guys, there's a lot of new guys, new to junior hockey. When you pull a group of guys like that together that quickly, with a lot of skill, you're bound to find some hidden gems. And I think we're kind of tapping into that here as our record's kind of showing. We've been, a little hotter lately than we were at the start of the season. We had a tough start. So I think, you can definitely see that there's a little untapped potential here going forward.
The power play right now is 4th in the BCHL, doing pretty well. Can you describe what it is that's made your team so successful when it has the man advantage?
I think there's a lot of skill on both units. I think that, our coaching staff do a good job at kind of piecing those together. But then I think at the end of the day, we have all the plays in the book, but that individual skill kind of takes over and it's done wonders for us. So I think it comes down just the individual skill on the unit put together, and it makes a great recipe for success.
You attended the Toronto Maple Leafs development camp last summer. What was that experience like at the age that you're at now?
It was really cool. Growing up, you obviously dream of being anywhere even close to the NHL. And to go to that camp and to play against some great players, it's humbling, it's eye-opening. But it was a really great experience all in all. And, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
If you could pinpoint one big takeaway that you had from that camp, what would you say it is?
I'd say just try and get better every day. When I first stepped in there, it was obviously a big jump from the high school I was coming from. But, my main goal was just to get better each day. And I felt that, as I put my focus into that, it was successful. And it really made the week a lot of fun. So I would say just keep trying to get better every day, focus on what you can control. And it kind of takes care of itself from there.
How did the invitation come about?
Yeah, so it had actually just come out probably about an hour after the draft ended. I got a call from my advisor saying that, the Toronto Maple Leafs were interested in having me come to camp. And I obviously took that as soon as I got it. There was really no hesitation there. So, I was just really pumped, and it was kind of a silver lining to the day after not being drafted.
At the end of that week, did the Leafs give you any indication about them keeping an eye on your development going forward?
Yeah. We had exit meetings. They kind of sat you down and said, happy with the week. Keep developing yourself, keep developing your game. Going to Chilliwack next year and enjoy the experience. And, obviously keeping an eye out. So,
have you had any interest from other NHL teams since then?
There's, a little bit. It's not really something I'm, too focused on, but, being close to Vancouver is obviously an NHL hub. There's being on the West Coast here. There's some scouts and stuff like that. So, it's definitely around, but I would say, not too much, where it's, overwhelming or, really, like an everyday thing.
So after playing U.S. prep hockey last season at Kimball Union Academy in New Hampshire, you committed to the Chiefs last March. What was it about Chilliwack that made you want to sign with it?
Yeah, so, I'm from the East Coast, so I'm pretty, far removed from the BCHL, but Chilliwack was actually one of the teams that I just grew up knowing about. They're a pretty big organization out here. And, after coming here, I could see why. Just the people in the organization are top notch. The facilities are top notch. Obviously, the rink. We just had a crowd of over 5,000 there, so it kind of speaks for itself. I wouldn't have it any other way. There's no other place I'd rather play in the BCHL than Chilliwack.
Now, you mentioned about being from the Maritimes and the fact that the Chilliwack Chiefs were already something that was on your mind, or at least an organization that you were aware of prior to coming out to play here. Was the BCHL itself on your radar coming out of prep school hockey to play your lone season of junior before you knew you were going to Vermont?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had lots of friends that have come through the BCHL and loved it. The BCHL is obviously a very well-known league for creating college prospects and even pro prospects. So, absolutely. The BCHL was, at the forefront of my mind coming out of US prep to find somewhere to get my feet wet in junior hockey.
When you committed to the University of Vermont, what was it about that school that was really attractive to you?
I think it was the coaching staff. It's a new group in there. It's a new group and they're kind of rebuilding their program, which is always exciting. But I think, Todd Woodcroft first reached out to me and, I did my homework on him, and he's been in the NHL since I was a baby. So, and then his supporting cast there with Steve Wheeler and Scott Mosier, I just felt those guys were top notch. And then again, like I said, they're kind of turning over their program. So with that comes some renovations to the arena to kind of amp up the feel in there before I get there. So all of that put together was really exciting opportunity for myself. And I couldn't be happier with that decision.
Did you get to go on a visit to the campus?
I didn't before I committed, just because of, COVID and everything like that kind of shut everything down. So but November last year, I was able to go. That would have been like 9 months after I committed, I'd say, something around there, 11 months. And it honestly, it reaffirmed my decision that, I'd made the right decision. I loved every minute of it. Burlington's a great town. Everyone I talk to says they love it. I'm excited.
So you played 2 seasons at Kimball before coming to Chilliwack. You were the captain last season. You mentioned it about going to the Chiefs and the fact that, a lot of new recruits, some high-end players, but you're a rookie player on that team. And of course, the club has some established leaders. Did you find that for you, coming from where you were a captain last season to a first-year player this season, that it was a bit of a different situation for you in that respect?
I think anytime you jump into a new group, there's kind of some mixing around that happens with the group. And, for me, it's not my first time being a rookie on a team. So, the leaders in that room really made the transition pretty easy. They're all great guys. I really looked up to them when I first got here, and I still do, honestly. They're all top notch. Everyone's treated right. Everyone loves coming to the rink every day. It was different, obviously, coming from high school where you're the captain, but I've loved what they've done, especially with kind of turning the ship around from the start of the year.
So when you look at the situation that the Chiefs are in right now, in falling to Nanaimo in the playoffs last season, when you talk to some of the veteran guys, the fact that those games were close. I'm not sure if you've looked at them, but in game 1, Chilliwack loses 2-1, falls in game 3 in overtime, and then loses game 4, 1-0, which really isn't the way that you would expect a sweep to go, because those 3 games easily could have gone the other way. Did the returning guys on the team talk about the chip on the shoulder that they have from last year's playoffs?
I think whenever you get swept like that, it's not a good feeling. I think that especially with such a new group of guys coming through, I think that they wanted to establish, that mentality that, we want to get back to that position. And obviously be on the other side of it, be on the winning end of it. You know what, we got a chip on our shoulder to kind of, get back into a deep playoff run, and to be a winning team. And I think that those returning guys have kind of established that since the start of the year, that's the kind of team we want to be.
I heard that you're an assistant coach for the Chilliwack Special Olympics floor hockey team. How did that come about?
We kind of got an email at the start of the year saying anyone who wants to, volunteer for Special Olympics floor hockey every Tuesday night, just throw us an email, and first four or whatever would be there every Tuesday night. So yeah, I just threw my name down at first opportunity there, and it's honestly been a lot of fun. That's a special group of people in there. We have fun every Tuesday night. It's there's something new. It's a lot of fun. You don't regret taking it at all. It's honestly been, I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it.
So why was getting involved with that team and the Special Olympics something that was important to you?
I think just, being here, being a junior hockey player in a city who loves, obviously Chilliwack loves the Chiefs. I think, you see all the people come out to the games, you see the support, and, I see my, Special Olympics friends at the games and stuff like that. And I think, it means a lot, for myself, and it means a lot to them and this town and this city, just to see the Chiefs out in the community. And obviously, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's been awesome, and, it really means a lot to myself, and it means a lot to them. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
Fantastic stuff, Duncan. I appreciate that, and appreciate you joining us here on the 2 Goal Lead podcast presented by BCHL Network.
No, thank you for having me.
A pleasure to have Chilliwack Chiefs defender Duncan Ramsay on the 2 Goal Lead podcast presented by BCHL Network. And coming up next week on the show, we will have the play-by-play voice of the Coquitlam Express. Ian Wilson joins us here on the 2 Goal Lead podcast presented by BCHL Network. Before I go, I want to remind you about the places that you can find this podcast, in addition to, of course, on bchlnetwork.ca. But I'm very happy to announce that the podcast is now available on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Stitcher. Essentially, everywhere you get your podcasts, you can now find the 2 Goal Lead podcast, which is pretty awesome. Very excited about that here at the BCHL Network. Also, if you want to join BCHL Network, if you're looking to write about the league, you're passionate about it, looking to get a little bit of experience in sports journalism, well, there is a button on the website at bchlnetwork.ca that says join our team. Certainly would love to have you reach out and see if maybe there's a fit there for having you join our fantastic team of writers at BCHL Network. That will do it for this week's show. Of course, want to thank our guest, Duncan Ramsay from the Chilliwack Chiefs, and coming up next week, it is the play-by-play voice of the Coquitlam Express, Ian Wilson, here on the 2 Goal Lead podcast presented by BCHL Network. I'll talk to you then.